This is Valley News Live at noon.
Breaking news at noon, an autopsy is underway after a woman's body was found in a snow pile in Devil's Lake. Police say the body of 33-year-old Catherine Lenore was found Monday behind some garages. She doesn't have a permanent address, and police say she was found partially clothed, but foul play is not suspected. Temperatures are noticeably cold this afternoon, and the temps are well below average for this time of year. And we have a First Alert Weather Day coming up. Let's go to Summer Schnellbach with a quick look at the weather. Summer.
Thank you so much, JC. Yeah, our temperatures dipped again this morning, and to put things in perspective, the average load for today in Fargo is 14, and we fell to 6 degrees this morning, but Grand Forks 3 degrees below zero, one of the coldest spots on the map this morning. 2 below zero in Hallock, 1 below zero in Thief River Falls, with 6 above in Jamestown, 5 in Devil's Lake, 5 in Carrington, 2 in Bemidji, so well below average. And we still are. This afternoon, temperatures are only in the single digits and some lower teens, and we're really not going to warm up too much from there. We do have a mix of sunshine and clouds today, and within some of the clouds through the afternoon, especially with peak heating mid-afternoon, can't rule out some additional snow showers developing. The good news is wind is not as gusty as it was yesterday, so even where we have had a few flakes, visibility hasn't been impacted too much. This afternoon in Fargo, temperatures remaining in those low teens, mix of sunshine and clouds, and in Grand Forks, likely only hitting a high of around 10 degrees or so. Will still be a little bit breezy, but our next big weather maker, I shouldn't even say big weather maker, it's not going to be a big storm, JC, but areas of some scattered snow combining with strong gusty winds, well, we know that can be a recipe for tricky travel. I'll have your hour-by-hour details coming up in a bit.
Thank you, Summer. Lots to go over.
Yeah.
Russian forces continue their siege of Ukrainian cities. The battles have forced millions of Ukrainian civilians to flee. Reporter Skylar Henry is at the White House with the latest on the ground in Ukraine and the refugee crisis the war has created.
The Kyiv Symphony Orchestra used a temporary ceasefire to stage a concert Wednesday, a brief respite from the war. Outside of Kyiv, in the suburban city of Irpin, others used the break as a chance to escape the front lines. Humanitarian corridors in Irpin, Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, and Mariupol are allowing civilians to flee.
The Kremlin has changed their plan to a war of attrition, which means they're going to smash every town and city to create this terrible refugee flow, the weaponization of refugees, if you will, to put pressure on the Zelensky government and also on other European governments.
More than 2 million people have escaped Ukraine, with about 1.5 million now refugees taking shelter in nearby Poland. Poland is the first stop on Vice President Kamala Harris's trip to Europe. In addition to discussing the refugee crisis, the Vice President will also talk about Poland's offer to supply Ukraine with Soviet-era fighter jets. Ukraine says the Russian-made jets can be put to use right away because their pilots are already trained to use them.
The best bet is the older Soviet Union types like MiGs and Sukhois.
Poland agreed to supply the jets, but only if they first go to the U.S. and other NATO countries before being delivered to Ukraine.
Afternoon, everybody.
The Pentagon shot down that plan, saying it would create the perception that NATO was taking part in the war. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
A State Department official says Poland did not consult with the U.S. before issuing a statement announcing its plan to provide jets to Ukraine. Meanwhile, North Dakota officials say the state has the potential to fill the hole left by the Russian imports ban. Congressman Kelly Armstrong and Governor Doug Burgum are inviting President Joe Biden to visit the Bakken oil formation to see firsthand the work of domestic oil production. U.S. Senator Kevin Cramer says North Dakota has the reserves and the infrastructure in place if the right incentive or the right messaging could be put forward. A University of Minnesota economist says the U.S. ban on Russian oil will impact more than just gas prices. Ed Usit says we can expect higher food prices starting with a critical crop. Concerns of a shortage are driving up the price of wheat, which has already increased nearly 50%. Russia is also a major fertilizer producer, which is already an expensive commodity that farmers need and will likely impact spring planting. Usit says everyday household products could get more expensive too, anything made out of and packaged in plastic. Some of those many items include smartphones, tires, and foam seat cushions. cold and allergy pills, gummy vitamins, and Band-Aids. Those are all made out of oil. South Dakota lawmakers are stepping in to protect the state's campground owners from people who sue over bee stings and mosquito bites. The bill provides immunity for campground owners whose guests encounter the inherent risk of outdoor camping, which are beyond a business's control. The legislation has a long list of those risks, including weather, wild animals, and the absence of street light. North Dakotans have something to brag about when it comes to playing the game Wordle. A study shows that North Dakota is first when it comes to the fewest amount of attempts it takes to get a word right. On average, North Dakotans take only 3.65 guesses to get the word correct. That's only 0.5 ahead of second place Delaware. While North Dakota is ranked number 1, the U.S. as a whole ranks as the 18th best country at Wordle. Coming up at noon, scientists have found out and filmed one of the most famous shipwrecks in history. But next, we got a First Alert Weather Day coming up that could impact our roads.